heart of today's conversation. And part of that course has been taking about the 50 students in the class. We have about a cohort of about a dozen that go into the juvenile hall with us in Sylmar, in Barry Gate Night Off, once a week. So on Fridays, I'm at the juvenile hall with the undergraduates, a couple grad students in our class. On Thursdays, I also go with a group of just graduate students who are working on a class on social philosophy as well. So that's the immediate sort of space that I'm actually coming to this conference from. Our class is this afternoon. You're welcome to come and join us. But I wanted to start off with that piece, thinking about how death has set us free. How those who came before us, those who gave their lives for us to be here, have in many ways sacrificed for us to have the opportunity to be here. I think about education as being a tool for liberation. I think about education as being tied to the Black liberation struggle, the Black freedom tradition, the Black struggle for revolution and change in this country. I start from that place. Identifying our work to liberate our young folks, our men and women who are incarcerated, as part of this long abolitionist tradition, which doesn't necessarily mean shut down all the prisons immediately, although that might not be a terrible idea. But it does mean that we identify the systems in place now that have taken 2.3 million people and incarcerated them in this country, more than any other country in human history. We identify these systems that have 7 to 8 million people in this country under the jurisdiction of the criminal justice system, the criminal injustice system, however you want to put it. Right, we look at that and we say, these are systems that were put in place a long time ago. This is not new. There are new versions, new manifestations, new iterations, but we understand that the same work that Harriet Tubman was doing is the work that we're doing today. And so when she said, I freed 1,000 slaves, I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. Right? It means we have work to do to educate ourselves, not just those who are incarcerated, who might potentially be incarcerated, but to educate ourselves about the increasing prisonization of the country that we're living in. All right? It means that when Frederick Douglass, was taught on the low by his slave master's wife, right? Like, she wanted to get back at him for being born in the first place. Wanted to get back at the slave master for having this child with this enslaved African woman. When Frederick Douglass realized that actually, if me learning how to read is the thing that makes me unfit to be a slave, then I better learn how to read. Education will be the tool to access my liberation, my self-determination. So I want to start off with that because that's the spirit that I think is important for us to begin this day with. I spent some time thinking about how to start this day, and usually when I'm in situations like this, I want to bring the energy that I think no one else will bring to the room. In this case, Tyrone, he got the jump on me. He brought young folks. He brought folks who are in our high schools, folks who are educated, folks who've been doing this work. So I couldn't pull that out of the bag, right? So instead, what I've decided to bring to you is the words, the poetry of folks who could not be here with us today. So I brought poetry from some of the young folks who are incarcerated, some from one of the women who was incarcerated at CIW prison, where we taught the first UCLA pilot course last spring and looking to develop new courses. I brought some poetry, some lyrics from some of the brothers at Rikers Island, where I started teaching courses about 2003, 2004, over a decade ago, and a piece from Brother at Sing Sing, where we did the first TED Talks at Sing Sing prison about 3 years ago. So I brought some of their work, some of their words. I'm going to share that in hopes that it can inspire some of our discussion today. Anybody ever heard of The Last Poets? Make some noise if you heard of The Last Poets, okay? A couple people, 3.5 people, all right, we're going to work on that. So Abio Dude is someone who I brought into Rikers years ago. When I first started working at Rikers, or bringing courses into Rikers, what I did was I created the first course that Columbia University had, taking college students and graduate students into Rikers Island to work with the teenagers. Rikers is the largest penal colony in the world. There's a campaign right now to shut it down because of the record levels of violence that happen at Rikers. When I started going, there were about 14,000 to 15,000 people at Rikers Island in any given year. Now there's about 10,000. It's 10 different jails. It's the city jail for New York City for all intents and purposes, but it functions like some of the harshest prisons in the world. There are about 4,000 to 5,000 teenagers at Rikers on any given year. About 4,000 to 5,000 16 to 19-year-olds. New York and North Carolina are two states that automatically try you as an adult at 16 years old. All right, so this is something we've been working to undo, but it also affects the culture of Rikers Island. It affects the culture having young folks, teenagers there, incarcerated in a space with thousands of grown men and women. And so that's part of the context that I wanna put out there, that the work that I have been doing comes from. We started bringing folks in, and I remember the first year we went in, we said, you know what? We're going to revolutionize these young brothers. We're going to bring in some Black Panther parties, some 10-point program. We're going to bring some massage core. And we brought all this information in, and the brothers were like, not that interested. And as soon as one of the students in the class said, wait a second, wasn't massage core like Tupac's auntie? Right? And somebody else said, yeah, his mom was like, was his mom incarcerated when she was pregnant with him? And someone said, yeah, her name was Afeni. And all of a sudden, because Tupac at Rikers is like Jesus Christ, what we were saying was relevant, right? And this drives home one of the core themes of culturally responsive pedagogy, right? Is relevance. How do you make this relevant to my life, to my experience, right? How do you validate the knowledge that I bring into the room? Nobody's illiterate. We all have different kinds of literacies. And if you don't speak to the literacy and the power that I walk into the room with, then this is not relevant to me. We found it was relevant. Immediately, the next summer, I interviewed 50 young folks, and we redesigned the whole curriculum and made sure that the curriculum that we had spoke to their interests, spoke to their needs. We asked them, if you had only 3 albums on your playlist and you were stranded on an island, what would be the albums you would have? What would be the artists you would have? If you could have dinner with anybody living or dead, who would you have dinner with and why? We asked those kinds of questions, and it changed our pedagogy, it changed our approach to how we walk into the space, rather than having a banking concept of education, which suggests we're going to download the information into their minds. We came with a sense of let's have dialogue, let's understand what you bring to the table, what we bring to the table, and let's actually have synthesis between those two perspectives. So Abiodun was one of the first folks we brought in. And I got to share before I share this piece, Abiodun from the Last Poets, who folks may know from Niggas Are Scared of Revolution, and When the Revolution Comes, and E Pluribus Unum, and all these phenomenal pieces. The first hip-hop group, really, the Last Poets, right? Before anybody else, before there was a Cash Money, before there was Amigos, it was the Last Poets, all right? So Abiodun shared a story with me that really had a deep impact on me, and brings to mind the question for me, how much wisdom we have, our elders have, that we need to tap into, right? How much of this, the intergenerational conversation, needs to be at the heart of what we're doing, because if not, we're losing out on so much. Abiodun explained to me that in the 60s and 70s, when he was coming up as an artist, as a poet, he wanted to be a revolutionary, and he said it wasn't enough to be a cultural revolutionary. He wanted to actually be deep in the struggle. He wanted to get it, roll up the sleeves and be in the work, in the way that you saw the other folks around him, the more militant groups be involved in the work. So Abiodun decided that what he was going to do, one of his buddies had gotten arrested, needed bail money, so he and a few of the other friends of the Last Poets decided they were going to go to North Carolina. They decided they were going to rob the Ku Klux Klan during a Klan rally. I would not advise anyone to do this, but I have to share the story. So he said they went down, and while the Klan was marching in North Carolina, while the Klan was marching down the block, they decided they were going to go into this space and actually take arms and reappropriate some of the resources for the liberation struggle from the Ku Klux Klan store. So they go in, and 3 of them, they kindly ask for the resources, right? And on their way out of the store, he explains how there was hoods, Klan paraphernalia all around the room. They felt like they were doing something just and something right. They leave, and as they leave, the Pepsi-Cola truck pulls up, and the Pepsi-Cola drivers realize that somebody is on the inside, and they're shaking the door because they changed the doors shut. And they get their shotguns and proceed to chase them. So Abiodun and the other poets are now running. After a 6-hour manhunt, they're captured. He ended up spending the next several years in prison. And they were beaten up pretty badly. But as Abiodun tells the story, he said, but when we got to the correctional facility, he said it was a hero's welcome. He said they couldn't believe that we actually came and actually robbed the Ku Klux Klan. Like, how crazy was that for you to do that, The other piece of the footnote of the story is that he says, the next day, or shortly thereafter, Their song, New York, New York, Big Apple, was doing really well on the radio. I guess Jimi Hendrix produced it, they put it out, and it was all over the place. So we heard one of the men inside the prison singing, New York, New York, Big Apple, New York, New York, Big Apple. And Abiodun said, oh yeah, that's my joint. And then the brother singing said, oh no, yeah, that's my joint too. He said, no. That's really my joint. He's like, what do you mean? He explained to him, he said, yeah, I wrote that, that's me, it's my voice. He's like, get out of here, man. He said, well listen, when your lady comes to visit you, next week, tell her to bring the album cover. Back when we still had album cover art, right? Both just on the screen. And so he said, he saw the brother the next week, and he was in tears. And he said, what's wrong? He said, man, I saw you on the album cover. It's just so raw. They got you in here, brother. You can't sing it like that. That's wrong. So I've been doing, it's been a blessing to have him as an elder to share his lessons, his struggles, and to have him come back into the prisons, right? To go back behind enemy lines, to actually share the wisdom and the stories so the folks cannot have to make the same mistakes he made on their past. So this is the pledge rap by Abiodun Oyewole. And it requires that you say 8 words for it to work. So I'm gonna give you the words. You can write them down if you need to. All right? You can just remember if you want to. All right. So when I point to you, I need you to say free, grow, misery, down, true, sad, lift, and then here. Okay. Can we do that? So free, grow, misery, down, true, sad, lift, here. All right, you ready for this? Grow, misery, down, true, sad, lift, here. Okay. Now I'm not gonna warn you, I'm just gonna point. All right. Get ready. He was really on busy today. Okay. All right. Here we go. I want to be what I can be. To be proud, healthy, and free. I want to say what I know to help my brothers and sisters grow. I want to feel good about me and blame no one for my misery. Cause I'll be strong to turn it around. I want to go up, I'm not going down. I want to do what I can do to make all my dreams come true. Remember my past, the good and bad, how I made it art even when it was sad. I want to share whatever my gift, and when you're feeling low, I'll give you a lift. I want to share without fear and know that I'm blessed for being here. And know that I'm blessed for being here. And know that you're blessed for being here. And know that we're blessed for being here. And know that we're blessed. Simeon so I can say his name. So Simeon is also goes by Sunjata, named after the great Malian epic. And he was one of the leaders of these TED Talks we did at Sing Sing. You can find it in TEDx at Sing Sing. A bunch of amazing folks who are involved with that. Modeled after TED Talks we did at Ironwood State Prison a couple years as well. We had a whole session on infinite possibilities. And the day of the TED Talks at Ironwood, this theme, the men inside wanted to have this conversation around infinite possibilities. And so they brought a physicist from Stanford who used to be a gang member, and he got his PhD in astrophysics. And they wanted him to come and talk about infinities. So we came and talked about infinities because the day's theme was infinite possibilities. So he talked about the different kinds of infinities between 0 and 1 and between 1 and 2. He talked about the different kinds of infinities, when you are studying the natural world and have to think about how your instruments operate in different ways, right? And then he sort of brought it back around and talked about his own experience being involved in gangs and how it was a mentor who reached out to him, who believed in him, who actually supported him, checked on him, who made all the difference in his life. And he said, there were about a few hundred folks in the room, half men incarcerated at the prison, half folks who were visiting, and the speakers were also mixed that day. You can see it all online. I think over 1 million views of the stuff at this point. Richard Branson came and spoke, the Virgin mega store, mega owner. No more mega store. But Scott Budnick, Hangover producer, came. So the astrophysicist said, he calls himself the gangster physicist, he said, what I realized is that all of us had an infinite number of choices and possibilities that we could have taken, and for some reason it ended up with us all being in this room today. Just as all of us here are in this room today. And so he said, so I think about infinite possibilities, I think about infinities, and it means, for me, hope. It means that there's hope that we can actually have an impact. We have agency to have an impact on what tomorrow's going to look like and what rooms we're going to end up in tomorrow. And so that inspired a brother named Sean Pika to actually emulate the Ironwood Prison TED Talks, which happened in Sing Sing. Simeon was one of the sort of standout speakers and performers. So I want to share his piece. This piece is called Claustrophobic. Bullet-riddled walls, R.I.P. on walls, candles. Closed casket, walls from the walls of gun handles. I grew up between crack walls, family wall dismantled. Still picture photo frames, but fantasy walls brand new. This wall is sensitive, this wall is tough. In this wall, pain enters to live. This wall, no bluff. Trust? Walls tell stories. Or the ones I ran into. Cell walls with I love such and such drawn into heart. Example, you got your West Coast walls, marked Cali walls, East Coast walls, dark alley walls. We build walls for ourselves. Cardboards to Wall Street, on each corner of the globe to where your four walls meet. Steep, noticeable walls, emotional walls, dry, cold, hot, and cool walls, psychological walls, passing by walls, passing walls of fashion, generational walls, clashing, masked men, women with walls, masculine, feminine walls, from the Great Wall of China to the Great Wall of her vagina, loud hotel walls, gazing at the wall behind you, gangster white walls. They paint all types of walls, the walls of graffiti, the walls of Tahiti, hieroglyphic walls, high and low, that distant wall, daylight through the night, wherever I go, it's this wall, the wall of paranoia, the shaky wall of fear, the dark wall of death, or maybe this wall is clear, walls with shells missing, walls that lead you to the walls of Hell's Kitchen, from a wall where shells is spitting, because even out clubbing we pose and use walls, sets glued to the wall, gang, red and blue walls, back against the wall, the inseparable wall, look here, look there, yeah. Set of new walls, walls cracked, tacky, walls with drugs and cash stacked sweet. That'll lead you to the walls of Coxsackie, blood smeared walls, thug steered walls, walls shadow boxed, behind the walls, battles watched, through glass walls of rifle scopes, and every wall tells a story. The walls of Jericho, the walls the Bible know, the ego wall, when Humpty Dumpty took his fall. Allegorical walls, literal walls, check my wall of music, sounds of lyrical walls, from the wall of Pink Floyd to the late Christopher Wall. Think Mike was off the wall, pictures fall, wall shake, you hear like the wall sound, East Coast, West Coast, pour wall down, South Side walls, we close ourselves in, we don't think outside walls, we hold up great walls, I've grown to hate walls, let's go and break walls, till soldiers a wall, the wall of fame and shame, the target practice, wall of aim, remember Black Wall Street, huh? Yeah. He set that wall aflame. The Hollywood wall to the lobby and hood walls, the Berlin wall, walls I haven't named, it's walls that we shield, my wall red in guilt. I hear walls touch walls, see walls being built. Africans put up walls, Americans put up walls, Ricans put up walls, Dominicans put up walls, so many cans put up walls, 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 don't let the walls close, hold it, or you can blame the world why I'm claustrophobic. Tear this wall down, now Trump want to build a goddamn wall. Then we looked at the expenditures, and we found that New York State was actually spending, at the time, it's $5,000 to $10,000. Now it's about $10,000 to $15,000 a year per student in school, in public schools. The expenditure at Rikers Island per student per year is over $170,000 a year. That's more than most folks on this campus make. All right, definitely you can send your kid to UCLA and Stanford and Berkeley, right? You know, so college degree, master's degree. So we are using our resources in a way that reflects our priorities. All right? We decided it's easier to actually turn a profit off of the prison industrial complex than it is to actually invest in people. All right, and so I want to remind us that prisons do at least three things that plantation slavery did very well. Number one, they exploited us for our labor, right? In the way that Victoria's Secret, MCI, Dell Computers, we go down the list, right? Starbucks, Maybe I had that latte this morning. I don't want to make you feel bad when you think about it next time. Right? You know, Mother Jones tells us they have folks in prison making holiday products. It would be bad if they had them employed when they came out, but if I have to work for 10 cents an hour and I come out and I can't actually, earn a living wage when I come home, right? That's the kind of exploitation we can't accept. We have to begin to challenge that. So the exploitation of labor is one connection we have to acknowledge. Right? Second piece is that it subjected us to wanton violence, right? Unchecked wanton violence. Right? And we know from all of the evidence that trauma, which Tyrone speaks brilliantly about, so much of the trauma, without the trauma folks go in with, they come home with, and they never have a chance to actually undo that, to unpack that, to address that. All right. The suicide rate at CIW, the California Institute for Women, where we started offering classes, all right, oldest prison for women in California. The suicide rate is 5 times the national average. It's 8 times the state average. All right. And there are not enough resources, not enough professors, students, folks in these spaces that are bringing resources there. So that's something we can do to actually have an impact on the kinds of violence that's happening. Yeah. All right. So we have exploitation of labor, we have the wanton violence, and we have the confinement. The confinement to a single space, which we know plantation slavery did. Right? And immediately after slavery was abolished, something was created called the vagrancy laws. What does it mean to be a vagrant? You're not working. You're not working, you're out. And you're homeless, you're jobless. Who was homeless and jobless when slavery was abolished? Folks get off the plantation, all right? So that became a crime, all right? And the way that drug laws were used as a crime to fill the prisons, the vagrancy laws did that generations ago. So these are the direct connections. And this is why the work around education, all right, this work of linking inspiration and information, in these spaces is so critical. I want to just end with one last piece, and this is a piece by one of the women at CIW who was in the creative writing workshop that I led this last fall. She got out a couple weeks ago, and she'll be joining us here on June 12th when we bring together our community partners to plan the first stages of the conference I mentioned, Beyond the Bars LA. So this is from Wendy, and it also requires a little call and response. So that piece should be going around. If you can put the last touches on it, I'd like to get to that as well. So Wendy says, it's her message to you. Hello, my name is Wendy Staggs. Yes, I've been to prison and have now paid for my past mistakes, so I no longer need to address the pain and trauma that led me here in the first place. What I'd like to share with you is how the prison term changed my life. I did everything I could to find out who I truly am called to be. Through the guidance of many honorable and community-serving agencies such as Bryonn Bain, UCLA Creative Writing Class, the Actors Gang Prison Project, Community-Based Arts, Cal State San Bernardino, the Claremont Colleges, Pomona Pitzer, the Journalism Club, Dr. Renford Reese, and the Prison Education Project, I was able to unearth the priceless gem that had laid inside of me for so long. I was asked if I would share something that I've written. I was honored, but even more importantly, if I can even pay it forward to someone else by sharing a part of me that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. My dream is to spend my life now advocating for the ones that have been silenced and to expose the injustices that occur in and out the judicial system every single day. Thank you all for allowing me to share a piece of the woman I am today. God bless. All right. White, black, and brown, for the ones who happen to still be above ground, this is also the memory of those who used to wonder whether they'd live or die and know they're 6 feet under, believing all along they were at home in the streets, yet hollow and empty, never feeling complete. Their loyalty to the game, to their crew, gang, or set, cost them their lives, choices too late to regret. I've been spending all my life living in the shooting down bodies like deer in the woods. Lies roll off their tongues, but they still put it on the hood. Nothing is sacred. They'll steal the last dime, living their lives in multiple crimes, beaten and jumped in or killed to get out. Violence and opposition is what their lives become about. Bang, bang, bang. 1 dead, 2 dead, 3 dead, 4. Recruiting our children like never before. I've been spending most of my time gang drive-by shootings, innocent neighbors fall, random bullets fly, piercing household walls, this hatred they're breeding, filling arteries and veins, aiming at the jugular, leaving streets bloodstained, school grades diving, dysfunction thriving, killers thriving, demons surviving, life sentence striving. I've been spending all my life living in the gangster. West Coast, East Side, East Coast, West Side, Norteños, Sureños, Crips in the Bloods, EME, the Mafia, gangs spreading like floods, towns polluted with hoods, hoodlums, and hood rats, murder for hire. Available by contract, what will it take to eliminate the disease? Crime rolled out like dogs breeding fleas. Hey bro, go recycle some cans, plastic or brass. Instead of recycling lies and talking all that trash, let's go back to what Mandela said about love being natural, hate being bred. What will it take for all of us to see that hate has been learned, but love sets us free? Put down your weapons, let's go, let go of that fear, because fear is what made all the love disappear. Well, how about what Bob Marley said, sing the next line, get up, stand up for you're right. I'm sure he didn't mean bring a gun to the fight. Look here, gangster, take that bandana off your head, why don't you start promoting peace and love instead? Listen, we need to use our brains, use the brains in our heads before we're the next one who ends up dead. Gangster, don't be mistaken. This ain't no paradise. Guess what, homie? You don't get to live this life twice. Thank you.
Eduseri and edukare, right? And eduseri is to draw out, right? Edukare means to train, right? And so we both are useful, right? If I'm a master drummer and I might have to train you on how to actually use the djembe the way that I use the djembe, right? You might need that training. A blacksmith has to show you how to use his tools, right? But I think in many of our spaces, we don't have enough of the edusari, the idea that we actually have geniuses in our midst. And if we start with that assumption that we have genius that needs to be drawn out of folks, right? Du Bois talked about the talented 10th, which has been regarded as sort of an elitist notion in some circles, but at the same time, if 1 out of 10 of us is incarcerated, maybe our talented 10th is behind bars. And maybe we need to rethink that some of our greatest minds, right? And not just Malcolm X, not just Nelson Mandela, not just Martin Luther King, not just all these folks who were incarcerated, Angela Davis, Assata Shakur, Afeni Shakur, not just those folks, but maybe some of our greatest minds who refuse to step on the conveyor belts and to conform to oppressive systems have been pushed out. And we need to tap into that genius and form alliances to actually transform the society. I think if we can develop an approach which embraces that possibility, I think we'll be moving in a different direction. I moved here less than 2 years ago, and my son went to University High School down the block for a summer bridge program in July. And the second day he came back and said, "How was your day, Indigo? How was your day?" And he was like, "It was good, but the teacher told me that I don't be late for class and don't miss class, because if you're late or you miss class, the police will come to your house and they will take you to juvenile hall." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, the teacher said the police will come to your house and they'll take you to juvenile." I said, "Wait, so on the second day of your high school bridge program, nobody was telling you this is how you could become an astronaut. Nobody was telling you this is how you could become a singer, professional athlete, professor, an accountant, a lawyer. This is how you can be yourself, right? This is how you can go to jail." On day 2, he didn't make it to the second week of that program. But I do think it's going to take that kind of intervention for us to actually shift what's happening. And I think the cultural disconnect is a big part of it. The focus on punishment, we need to change the paradigm, right? From punishment to public health and wellness. I think that needs to be the paradigm shift in general in terms of how we approach school and incarceration. But I think we're locked into a place that's dated, and I think our own education, prison education is not just about bringing education to the prisons, it's about educating ourselves about the kind of changes, the kind of radical transformations we need to actually be committed to, and actually to make this system move in a different direction, right? And a part of that conversation is, what are we willing to sacrifice? What are we willing to give up, right? Not just what somebody else has to do, what are we willing to do? What are we willing to give up in terms of our time, our labor, our commitment, our work? What are we willing to give up to make that happen? That's the really hard question for us to deal with, but we all have to face that.